Good morning, everybody. Daniel Allison, the average dude. Welcome to First Sip, where everybody in South Carolina comes to get their mind right every single weekday morning, 7:55 to 8:10. It's a mindset show, isn't it, Freddie Blanton?
It is. And I know you talk about that last clip a lot when the guy's doing this. But have
Yes.
you ever paid attention to the girl in the background who's doing the happy clapping?
Oh yeah.
What
Hey,
is up with her?
we've seen that clip so many times. You start noticing little things in marketing and in advertising. And this is my segue to the guest. You see how I did that?
Yeah, and
Because we're
on the post you said creative wonder.
creative wonder, and that just kind of came out of nowhere. But let me tell you, before I introduce the guest, his name's Jami Mullikin. You can see him right now. I've never seen him, never met him before, but I was on LinkedIn and I saw a video. It was a 6-minute video, and I watched that video. I knew at the end of the video, we got to talk to this guy. He's doing stuff. He's around our age. He's right here in Greenville. So please welcome to the program, Jami Mullikin.
Thank you, Daniel and Freddie. Looking forward to it. Y'all are
Yeah,
definitely waking me up this morning.
absolutely. Yeah. So let me ask you this. In that video, you've got this new project, this new real deal advertising marketing agency. You've done so much in the world of marketing. And what is it that excites you now about this new opportunity, this new team and system that you're building?
Yeah, so there's a long journey. There is a LinkedIn video where I just kind of consolidated it really quick. And I'm from Greenville, South Carolina, born and raised, one of the few these days. And I'm an extroverted marketing guy. So love connecting with people, and I have always done that. And then spent my career in advertising and marketing, was an entrepreneur young. 2008 didn't serve me so well. So I think we were joking last week that if I have a title of a memoir, it's going to be Thank God We Got Lehman Brothers. They were my largest client in 2008. So just, that chapter closed that book and went corporate for a decade. And after doing the corporate thing and staring at 50, I just had the itch. I was like, I turned 50. I still got some energy, I think. And I just want to do my own thing again. So that led through a couple of steps and, a lot of faith to launch Wonder in 2023. So that's what we're here today doing. Is I'm back running an ad agency.
I love it, and I think it's so cool. I mean, we hear a lot about. I've always thought that advertising and marketing world was such a cool world to be in. So I'm curious what drew you to it, and what's kept you there for so long. What is it that you love about marketing and that world?
I mean, it's funny. I was very fortunate in Greenville growing up to go to the Fine Arts Center. So this was back when I would, in the 80s, right? You'd drive over Main Street every day to go to West Greenville to go to the school called the Fine Arts Center for half a day. Not once did I ever turn on Main Street, right? There was no reason to in 1988.
Right.
But at that school, it was amazing. Like I'm not a good academic. I'm not a good student. I'm a doodler and draw and have to have something in my hands or my hands moving to be thinking. And so I ended up at the Fine Arts Center, and I had an art teacher, and he said, "What do you like to draw or paint?" And I said, "Whatever you tell me to." I was like, "I'm not going to just sit down and pick something." And he was like, "All right, cool. You need to be a graphic designer." So he was like, "You like solving other people's problem with art? There's a path for that." So my parents were small business owners. Didn't call them entrepreneurs back then. And so I just said, I'm going to Winthrop College, graduating from Winthrop University in that little time period, changed with a graphic design degree. I'm going to go into advertising for 5 years, and I'm going to start an agency. So that was my plan at 18 years old. So
I love it. I love it. We've got some comments. Say, hey, Alex Boland, who is a great guest that we met, another fine art grad here as well. I actually saw Dr. Floor at the grocery store last week. So
that is awesome. So Yeah, I was at the Fine Arts Center in Dr. Flores' first year, I think.
Man.
So,
Oh, wow. Well, that's
just
cool.
a great.
We
I mean,
go ahead.
it's something that Greenville, South Carolina, is not, of all things recognized. The Fine Arts Center doesn't get enough celebration, but it's an amazing school for high school talent.
Well, here's something that we kind of went through pretty quick was, so in 08, you took a punch to the chin, and then you still had the mindset, you know what, I'm not done doing my own gig. You didn't stay down. You got up and got back after it.
I did. I mean, I did the corporate thing. I put my heart into it. Hopefully, everyone that I got to work with, I served well, during that time. But I had the itch all along. It took over a decade to regain the, trust with my wife that this was going to be a good idea.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I didn't necessarily have her. I did not have her permission to lose everything, right? So I definitely needed her permission this time to risk everything all over again.
I like it though. You need a good partner like that. So LinkedIn user, I can't see your name. Good morning. Thank you for joining. Russ Hammond, thank you also for joining. So we're going to get our topic for the day, and we're going to do that with this little intro that I did.
Quote of the day. Quote of the day.
So our idea of the day, our quote of the day, words of wisdom, things that we need to have top of mind every single day. And Jamie, what should we be considering today? What's on your mind?
Yeah, so the quote will be having an attitude of gratitude. I don't know who said it, but there's a book by an author named Dan Sullivan, and it's a really short little pamphlet book called The Gap in the Game. And the idea of the gap is that when we set goals and we look forward and we have these ideals, that's setting that on the horizon. But we all know what happens if we chase the horizon, right? We never get there. So in trying to live in that gap of where do I want to be, there's a lot of scarcity. There's a lot of fear. There's not enough time. There's not enough money. I don't have this. I don't have that. The idea is to flip that gap to the gain. And we look back and celebrate our wins looking back. Right, because we always, in looking forward, can have something to be disappointed from. But when we look back, we can celebrate the wins and acknowledge, just the blessings that we've had. So I'm not a morning person. So back in the days of F3, getting up at the 5 o'clock hour, F3 Billy Ray retired here. Too many injuries. But so I've never been a morning person. But about 3 years ago, I decided, I was like, I got to get some discipline in my life. So what I did, all pun intended, is the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, take my first sip of wonderful coffee.
Yes, sir. I love that branding.
And then I acknowledge God, just how big He is, how small I am. I look back the past 24 hours. And I give thanks, right, for all the blessings that have happened in the past day. And then I look forward and I just give all that stress, concern, what am I going to say in this radio show to God? And then just go through the day. And I have found over 3 years of doing that every day, how just grateful, right? It's changed my attitude. It's given me so much gratitude. It gives me energy because all we have is now, right? We don't have yesterday. We don't have tomorrow. We have now. And we get to choose what our attitude is. So I would just say all that, embrace the idea of the gap in the gain. Let's live in the gain and have an attitude of gratitude.
I like it. Freddie, what is on your mind?
Well, what happens is you do see so many people focus on the frustration of not getting to the end, but they don't take the time to turn around and look and say, oh my gosh, look how far I've come. Absolutely. And that can really hurt somebody's confidence and self-worth if they really don't focus on the gain.
Yeah, and this time of year, right? It's a great time for reflection, to look back over this year. And then we spend a lot of time thinking about what are my next year's New Year's resolutions, what do I want to do differently next year, right? But that's still chasing the horizon. So taking some time at the end of the year to just think back about, wow, where was I a year ago? What are the challenges that have come up through this past year? And what are the blessings that have come from all those? Because, just in this one moment that we have right now today, it's really hard to lose sight. But when you look back, and it's that idea of this too shall pass, right? All things, the most challenging times, life is like this. But when we look back, you can always find those moments to celebrate.
And these are the sorts of things, this attitude of gratitude, this too shall pass. These are the sorts of things that we need because there's an ebb and flow. We might start out, we're having a sip, we're talking to Jamie and Freddie, and man, life is good. Everything is rainbows and butterflies. And then somebody cuts us off in traffic, and then we lose a deal, and then nobody will answer our call, and then nobody likes our LinkedIn post. And then life is terrible. Life is horrible. Life is bad. I'm bad. Things are terrible. What are we doing here?
Yeah,
and
absolutely. We sell our emotions too cheap, right? It's like I got all lit up for free. And it's like, no, it should take a lot for something to affect us that way, right? We should hold the value to our emotions and not let other people just take them away from us.
Freddie, I see. Do you have something on mind? Because I've got so much I want to say right now, but I don't want to keep going. What you got?
You do it. Say it.
One of my favorite books, and this is why I love meeting new people. I don't know Jamie, but I said, man, I like his attitude, and he brought up a book, The Gap in the Game. Fantastic, Dan Sullivan. If y'all folks don't know Dan Sullivan, this guy has got incredible ideas. That's also 10x is easier than 2x. That is not Grant Cardone, folks. That's Dan Sullivan, and the ideas in that book are going to help you get clarity on where you want to go. One of the things he talks about there is wanting, what do we want, right? So we're talking about attitude of gratitude, but sometimes we get scared to want things, don't we, Jamie? And that's how we get excited. It's like, hey, it's okay. It's okay to want to get back into it and have a great team like Jamie's putting together at Wonder. It's because that's what he wants to do, and that's where his energy is. I think.
Yeah, so the 10X idea, I mean, that carried me through my first year of out on my own again, because it's like, you get to, you don't know what, so I purposely started something with no plan. So it's like, I'm going to see where this goes. But
you're just like Daniel.
You get $50,000 worth of work, right? And it's like, wow, this is huge. But you look back and you thought 5,000 was crazy, right? And it's like, you already 10X from 5,000 to 50,000. So what should prevent you from 10Xing from 50,000 to 500,000, right? And that carried me through my second year. Now, that multiplier gets bigger, right? But in the gap in the gain, that gap is still how far you got to go. But that gain this has already happened,
Yeah, you still have to take time to celebrate the first 10X that you made happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it's a big deal.
I've been wanting to share one more thing, and all this is making me think of it. So one of the, I think, just fantastic kind of mindset tricks that I've been using a lot, it's this attitude of gratitude. When you feel that frustration setting in, when you feel that frustration, the minute that you start feeling like a victim of life and like life is working against you, amor fati, right? Don't just accept it, love it. The universe, life is pushing you toward that frustration, is leading you towards the blessing of your lifetime. Love what is happening and don't just accept it. And there is a switch that will happen, and then you're leading with that energy. You are literally in the flow of life. You're not allowing that consternation and that rigidity to what is. Like, oh, I wanted it to be this way and now it's this way. And then you get that frustration. So we can want things, but then we stay in the flow. That's just something I've been thinking about. Jamie, what do you think about that random thought?
No, you hit the nail on the head. I think I was about 45 years old. So, it was over 6 or 7 years ago when the idea of curious versus right was the first time I'd ever heard it. Right. And if you're right, you're always using the past and evidence. Right. But if you're curious, then you're open. You can't learn if you're right. Right. So that idea of curiosity and being open and saying, there's really on any given thing, there's facts, but as far as predicting the future, there's 1,000 paths at anything that we can always go, right? And it's just being open to, all right, I'm going to hold on loosely. I'm going to do my part, and we're just going to see where this goes.
I love it. Head on a swivel, look for those things, be curious, forget what we know. We hit on a lot today. So I'm hoping that something grabs you. Freddie, I'd love for you to give us a final thought and close us out today.
Don't forget to celebrate the gains. Even if it's a small margin, it's still a win.
That's
Absolutely.
it. Have a great day. Jamie, great to meet you. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us or having me. Good to see you guys. Have a great one.
Later.